Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome to Going In Raw 2.0. The only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to with so much color.
Is it bright enough in here? I can
so
put
bright.
the lights on.
It's so bright here. If anybody, look,
Here,
I'm just saying
changing
this
lights.
right
How about that?
If anybody watching this on your big screen TV,
You want orange?
if this burns through your TV, I'm not
Purple?
responsible. But if you do have any problems watching on your TV because it's so bright, then just let us know, and maybe I'll see if I could. It's actually not pure white, the white areas
that's
of this, so it shouldn't burn your TV. But I do feel like we needed to represent NXT 2.0 properly.
And this new NXT is very, very bright. I mean, there's a lot to cover. We could probably spend a whole hour just talking about the changes, the good, the bad, what to keep, what to get rid of.
So we're gonna
in terms of the presentation, the new presentation of the show.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I guess just kind of like an overview. So obviously they redid the interior of Performance Center, what they used to call CWC. I didn't know if they were still referring to it as such tonight or not. I didn't notice. So it looks much different, obviously. Much brighter, more colorful. The new stage entrance area looks really good. The seating is more kind of like an in-the-round type thing. It's not oval-shaped like it is in main roster or how it has been on main roster or in NXT. And instead of barricades, you get kind of, like waist-high maybe, plexiglass partitions that keeps the fans away from the ringside area. But there's no barricades, whatsoever. It's much brighter in the interior. Now, I was saying in the pre-show here that I felt the case can be made that NXT as it was before, it was too dark in the interior. This feels too bright. Like when they have people making their entrances, you can see the walls, the ceiling, all that stuff. And it makes the space feel smaller, I feel like. Whereas before, I knew the space was small, but since, the walls, you couldn't see them because it was so dark. Oh, maybe, you could maybe convince yourself, oh, maybe this place is huge. I just can't see it.
Maybe they just couldn't get more people. I don't disagree with your description of it. I do think that they do need to dial down the brightness a little bit. That being said, my perception is kind of the opposite of that. With the CWC, it felt like there were literally like 3 very stacked rows of people, and that was it. And then you have these like black walls that just were too all encompassing. Like, dude, I wonder
if they increased the capacity.
It feels like it. It really feels like it. And I feel like what I saw on TV versus my, 3 hours spent at the Performance Center that one time, I feel like they could have increased it, and it does feel like they did. Just looking at how deep the rows go back versus the CWC, if they didn't increase that, it certainly seemed like they did, or they photographed it to make it look like they did. I felt that it did look like there were more people. It looked like it had just more space to breathe. Look, I loved NXT the way it was because of the characters, the stories, and the matches. That's all going to change, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to be into this. I just have to get used to it. When I first saw what I saw, my immediate thought was somebody in chat hit it right on the head. This looks like it's filmed for Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Which I'll start to get used to if the stories are good and if the characters are good. This is clearly going to be at least a couple months of a weird period of NXT where you've got Tommaso Ciampa, who looks completely out of place as the surrogate for Samoa Joe, who's going to be the NXT 1.0 guy waiting around until somebody steps up that impresses Vince, Bruce, or Triple H, or whoever's actually in charge.
Well, we might have already seen that person. We might have seen that person.
I think they're going to see what I think with Braun Breaker, Bronson Steiner. What's his actual name?
Bronson
Reichsteiner?
Yes.
Okay.
We
so
had heard he was
going
to be Rex Steiner, but now he has a completely different name. Yes.
Okay. So it could be him. Maybe they're going to see how he feels on TV first, see what the response is, and they'll make their decision from then. It could be the guy that we saw in the Fatal 4-Way from the 2.0 crew, Cal Bloom. Maybe they liked what they saw from him and they want to go with him. I think it's going to be a feeling out process before they land on whoever's going to do it. If Steiner kills it in everything he does to kick things off, wouldn't shock me if he's the guy to take it off Ciampa. If he doesn't, they're going to try somebody else.
Oh, obviously. But I think based on, it's a small sample size, based on him getting that spot to open the show, beating LA Knight, to him closing the show with the awkward stare down with Ciampa. It seems out of the gate, he's got a leg up on the competition. Now, can he keep that advantage? Yes, that's the question. But it seems like he's the guy that, at least initially, they want to put out there and give him the first shot at proving himself to be worthy of beating Tommaso Ciampa.
True. The same could be said by putting Cal Bloom in that Fatal 4-Way, though.
I kind of thought that maybe they put him in there because maybe he's the furthest along in terms of the in-ring aspect. You're going to be stepping in the ring with Pete Dunne, Tommaso Ciampa, and LA Knight. You got to hold your own. And, maybe some of the other newer recruits aren't up to that level yet. I know Cal Bloom, Von Wagner, he's been at the PC for a while. So, but yeah, I mean, he's in the title match. Obviously, they think highly of him.
My thing is this. I honestly just think it's going to be a week-to-week thing, and when somebody feels right, they'll do it. You're right. Steiner has a leg up because he's the guy, evidently, they see the most in early on. Now, does that translate to TV? Are they going to look at this and say, okay, this works, we're going to go with this guy? Or are they going to go with somebody who I thought put in probably the best character sort of performance tonight, Tony D'Angelo? I'm joking. Carmelo Hayes.
Gosh.
I thought Carmelo was great tonight.
Yeah, he was great. That Tony D'Angelo thing was cringe, man. Gosh.
I loved it. Look, tonight was a really weird night.
It was. There was some good. The wedding was great.
The wedding was amazing.
Was great. The main event was really short, but I think that's going to be the new NXT. Here's the most noticeable change in terms of beyond the presentation aspect, in terms of the creative vision or philosophy of the show. The pace was a lot more main roster. We didn't have the longest match. I think was the main event or the title match, and that was about 10 minutes. They jammed a lot in this 2 hours. It had a very brisk pace, so the upside is that nothing seemingly overstayed its welcome. But we're used to having 2, maybe 3 matches in the NXT of yore that was allowed time to breathe, where I could tell some really good, interesting stories in the ring. I don't know, granted, small sample size, but if they're not going to do that for the championship match, I'm pessimistic that we're going to see a lot of that outside, if they even have takeovers anymore, I don't know, outside of that maybe. If any match was going to go 20 minutes, do you think it'd be the match to crown a new champion? And it went half that.
On average, and maybe even taking away, because usually on Raw, but there are some weeks when they don't, usually on Raw you have one match out of 3 hours that goes a long time, that goes through like 2 commercial breaks. Mm-hmm. If you take that out of the equation on average, what's your average main roster match length?
7-8 minutes.
That's exactly what we're going to look at here, because production-wise, this is going to be a main roster-esque production, which I don't know if they'll be able to. Which, I mean, it's I don't know, man. There's so many unknowns. Is the Bron Breakker guy? Is he going to be a character that's going to have a through line to main roster? If so, that's going to make the transition. That's going to make NXT a more interesting place, because if this is a Vince McMahon production and he really is up on Bron Breakker and he has a good run in NXT, then we're going to see that same Bron Breakker on main roster debut with a bigger splash, kind of like what we used to see with Kevin Owens. And I think in that respect, if they're able to develop characters that satisfies whatever it is Vince wants and have a through line up to main roster, then you can get more invested in the NXT product. That being said, the days of matches that are 20 to 25 minutes long, you're right. Those are gone. Those are done. And takeovers are probably done as well.
Well, at least takeovers as we knew them.
According to Brandon Thurston, I just noticed this on Twitter. He said that there is not an NXT takeover on the schedule going through November. So, I mean, look, I think I don't know. They have to do something for special occasions.
You'd think so. Maybe they'll just do themed episodes, like we've seen NXT do in the past. The Halloween Havocs, the Great American Bash. Now I know that's Triple H kind of nodding to wrestling's past, specifically WCW. If anything, NXT 2.0 is about looking to the future, so I don't know if they're going to be so reverential of WCW's past as Triple H was. But Triple H, he's a fan of professional wrestling, and he embraces the history of professional wrestling. And not to say that Vince or Bruce Pritchard don't, but if their vision of NXT 2.0 doesn't align with those references, then they're not going to be there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And also another thing, how long are they going to call it NXT 2.0? Because already about 2 hours into this, I'm kind of getting tired of it.
That's a good point. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. If they do, it wouldn't shock me if they still do takeovers. Like you said, what are they going to look like? They might just look different.
I mean, in the early days of NXT, that's what takeovers were. They were on Wednesday nights. They weren't on the weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were just special episodes. They were 2-hour episodes of NXT as opposed to one. Now, they can just brand them. Maybe we'll go back to NXT Takeover with some kind like some subtitle like it used to be, like Rival and
Arrival.
Yeah, stuff like that. Maybe we'll go back to those days, to when NXT was more so the developmental territory, and apparently that's what they're trying to aspire to now.
It's funny though that you say though that this is focused more on the future, because for a product that's supposed to be focused on the future, and I agree with you, there are some distinct throwback just vibes to it. I mean, from seemingly maybe the heir apparent Bron Breaker's gear, which is a very 1990s thing.
It's a direct nod to his dad, his uncle.
Like it literally is some, yeah. But even just the general vibe has like a 1990s Nickelodeon feel to it. Mm-hmm. And even kind of like if you look at Von Wagner, somebody mentioned he looks like Van Hammer. Yeah. He looks like a 1991 WCW prospect from head to toe. Mm-hmm. And a lot of what I saw just sort of feels like that too. So it's just a really weird mishmash of stuff going on.
It is. And, hopefully in the next few weeks, they'll sort out what's working, what's not working. We don't know, who the creative team is behind NXT currently.
Yeah.
So there's a lot remains to be seen about how they're going to approach this long term going forward. I don't know. It definitely has a more of a sports entertainment feel as opposed to a pro wrestling feel.
Absolutely.
The pacing is very much like a main roster show. In terms of the presentation, you could definitely. Fightful Select reported that Kevin Dunne was there, overseeing the production aspects. I think it was. You can definitely tell that. Yeah,
that was obvious in certain. Somebody in our chat counted 31 cuts during the B-Fab match, which was 2 minutes long.
If that, it was a really short match.
So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, there was a report, I believe, from Fightful Select that the vibe backstage was that and we had heard this before, that higher ups want characters, which means that I think certain NXT originals are probably safe in NXT. If Gargano is a character, he's not a gimmick. He's a character though. He's absolutely a character. And I think he's a main roster worthy character. We've said that for a while. And he was sort of the foundation of the wedding tonight. Mm-hmm. And I think I don't know, if I'm Johnny Gargano, do I immediately want to run to AEW? I don't know. He might fit in with this NXT. He might. I don't know.
I mean, I guess it remains to be seen if
Ciampa doesn't. Ciampa needs to go to main roster.
Yeah. As far as Gargano, though, I guess depends. He's put on some of NXT's greatest matches. If the focus on the in-ring product isn't going to be much of a focus, or as much of a focus going forward, will that be a potential drawback for him sticking around?
It's sort of just. I mean, doesn't it depend on because I'm just looking at the banner above us right now, and I see so there are guys that are like the Creed brothers who obviously they're still very green.
Yes.
They have their move sets, like we saw tonight was a carbon copy of what we saw last week. That's what they can do. That's their limits. But I'm looking at guys like above me, like Swerve,
Ciampa.
Ciampa. Well, Ciampa, who knows where he's going to be? but Carmelo Hayes, Pete Dunne, who just signed a new contract.
Totally. But I guess the thing is, is NXT going to be putting on the 20, 30-minute epic matches with especially with Gargano and Ciampa? There's like some in-depth, real, serious storytelling going on there with symbolism and metaphor. If that's something that anybody, in NXT is really into, and that looks like that's going by the wayside, and that's something of value to you, is that going to give you pause when determining if you're going to sign a new deal or not? We don't know what these people are thinking, so we can't answer with any sort of certainty. But I mean, like, the potential is there for Gargano to have like a really great 10-minute match with Swerve. And maybe that's all they need to tell the story they want to tell. I don't know. I'm so used to NXT being a very certain thing, because it has been for as long as I've been watching it virtually. It's evolved, it's changed somewhat, but at its core, it's not too different than what it was when I first started watching in 2015 or whatever it was, 2014. And it's going to take a while to get used to the new NXT and get used to the pace of the new NXT and get used to what they're emphasizing versus what they're not. Because for a number of years, I turned on NXT, I knew exactly what I was getting. Now I don't know what I'm getting, and that's good and bad. That could be some welcome surprises, But at the same time, if this is going to be kind of NXT watered down by main roster, which is totally what we saw tonight, then that's going to be a bit of a bummer. But I guess it's just too soon to tell. So I'll reserve judgment in that respect. Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but also discovered that it can be extremely difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular phone or video sessions. And they made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw.
Let's get a word here from our sponsor, Amazon Music. Since all the friendos out there are listening to this show, it's safe to assume you love listening to podcasts. Well, you'll find tons of podcasts, including this one, Going In Raw, on Amazon Music.
That's right. Amazon Music has more than 10 million free podcasts to listen to, such as the hilarious Smartless, which you can get ad-free 1 week before everyone else. There's also the true crime podcast, Dr. Death Miracle Man, which is available 2 weeks early on Amazon Music.
Yeah, man, if you're like Larson and love your music, you got to check out thousands of free music stations and playlists on Amazon Music. Or if you like your tunes on demand and ad-free, then you got to give Amazon Music Unlimited a try. It gives you unlimited access to a lot of songs, and I mean a lot of songs, like 75 million songs, as well as podcasts, music videos, and so much more.
And with Amazon Music Unlimited, you can listen to any song anywhere. Driving to work, walking your dog, doing wind sprints, anywhere. Offline and with unlimited skips.
Or listen to podcasts like Going In Raw while working out at the gym or working out at home like I do. If you've never tried Amazon Music Unlimited, now is a great time. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months. No credit card required. Just go to amazon.com/GIR.
That's amazon.com/GIR to try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months. Amazon.com/GIR. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, DoorDash. Steve, I found myself ordering with DoorDash a lot recently, like more than twice a month, and sometimes it felt like I was paying just as much in delivery fees as I was for the actual meals. But then I signed up for Dash Pass, and now I'm saving money on the food I'm already eating.
I was once there with you, friendo, but now that I got Dash Pass, I get unlimited $0 delivery fees from thousands of restaurants, grocery stores, and convenience stores, saving me about $4 to $5 on each order I place. Dash Pass pretty much pays for itself if I order like twice a month.
And with 18,000 restaurants eligible for Dash Pass, maybe we'll even find a new favorite place to eat. But Dash Pass is about more than good eats. You can get flowers, pet supplies, even groceries delivered to your door. So try a free month of Dash Pass now and watch those savings add up.
So if you're ready to save money on your DoorDash orders, DoorDash is offering a free month of Dash Pass right now. Stop spending money on delivery fees. Try Dash Pass from DoorDash today for free.
When you've got 0 delivery fees, you're free to get more because you can. Start your month free today.
Well, what you said is right. We saw some good, and we saw some bad. We saw some weird. I mean, like I said, the first couple months is going to be weird anyways, as long as there's still like sort of the remnants of NXT 1.0 around. Ciampa having the championship while I'm staring at this logo and it looks like something off of Nickelodeon is a very weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were moments in that Fatal 4-Way in that title match where I was like, they're going to put this title on Von Wagner tonight. You know, because like he hits what might be a finish. Like there was 2 times, and I was like, they're just gonna do this now. Are they just gonna do this? And then
let's talk about that. So there were times, yes, where Von Wagner hit a move that looked like could be a finish. Oh, they're gonna put the title on him because it's 2.0. They're just gonna go right ahead with the 2.0.
New Blood Rising, man.
Fully, yeah. But then LA Knight lost to Braun Breaker in the opening bout, an impromptu match,
which was weird. Yeah.
So the thought gets in your head, oh, is LA Knight gonna win? And then Braun Breaker going to challenge him basically immediately because he's already beat him. Mm-hmm. And then you had, of course, Ciampa. And as you made the case before, Ciampa would fill the role of Joe as the holdover from 1.0 that someone's got to step up to beat. And then I thought Pete Dunne, of the 4 originally announced, was the closest to, he's been in WWE for years. I know.
Yeah.
In terms of age, in terms of everything except maybe size. He is a lot of what I thought 2.0 NXT represented because he is a character. I know he's not a huge character. There's a lot of character behind his shrug, Yeah, there is a lot behind that. Mm-hmm. That's why I thought he just signed a new deal too. That's why I thought maybe he was going to win the match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But
yeah, the new deal thing. No, I mean, I think there was, and on top of that, there's a path to another 2.0 guy, Ridge Holland, who's like a pure 2.0 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's just a lot of unknowns. I liked a bunch of what I saw. I mean, the turning point for me was Carmelo and Trick.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that immediately you're establishing, okay, Carmelo is not just sort of happy to be here guy. As you have said in the past, sometimes in NXT you can get these guys who are just like badasses. Who are you? I'm a badass. And Carmelo had that kind of feel like, who are you really? Well, it took, him having this best friend character of Trick to bring out in one short segment some personality. And then they turn heel on, a distinct character turn because it's like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I mean, he seems like a good guy. But it was a distinct turn. They beat up another bad guy, Duke Hudson, or traditionally a bad guy. And you sort of see where they're coming from.
That was probably the strongest character moment of the show. Yeah.
It was. I loved it, and I was like, okay, I like that. And even Trick, what was Trick's last name? Trick Williams? Is that what his name was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He even got lost in one moment on the mic, and he recovered. And it's like, man, this is going to be kind of interesting to see that as long as the wrestling brings something new, even if they're not all that crisp, it's going to be interesting to see them develop from one standpoint,
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
What's up?
No, I just heard some background noise, and I thought it was maybe back over here.
No, that was my child asking who ate some of her Cheez-Its. Let's dive right into this.
Sure.
I'm going to pull up your notes. I apologize. No Steve notes because I just wanted to focus on the show, on what was in front of me.
The whole thing. So the show kicked off with short little promos from everybody involved, or scheduled to be involved in the main event. First with Ciampa. He's like, I'm always going to be Mr. NXT. Tonight, the greatest love story in pro wrestling continues. Gets the second chapter. Of course, he's talking about himself and Goldie. Pete Dunne's next. He's going to prove he's the baddest man in NXT. Line up everybody else in this match. I'll put him down. Kyle O'Reilly's next. It says, the opportunity I've strived for tonight. I achieve a goal 16 years in the making. And then LA Knight is last. He's talking about how Joe dropped the belt because he knew he was going to lose to LA Knight. It's his game. He turns around. Right there is Bron Breakker. And Bron says, I'm looking to prove myself here at NXT 2.0. And I swear by the time he said that, that's the 5th time we'd heard NXT 2.0 uttered by somebody. And so,
Right.
and so LA Knight challenges him to a match. We get our introduction to the new NXT venue. And then we have that match, LA Knight versus Bron Breakker. And it was pretty short.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I didn't really catch much of this. What did you think of this match?
It was pretty short, so it's hard to get a,
Right, yeah.
to get a good read on somebody, you need a larger sample size, and this was probably like 3 or 4 minutes. So, Bron had the advantage early. Knight gets some offense in, hits a neck breaker. Bron hits a couple shoulder tackles, belly to belly. Knight hits some punches, and then ultimately Bron hits a press power slam to get the win.
Like you said, man, it's going to be if Bron Breakker, which is just a ridiculous name, if he's the guy that takes that title off Ciampa, that's going to say a lot for this guy who has a short match, does some basic moves. I just don't know. I don't know. I think they're going to line these guys up, and Ciampa's going to school him, and then he's going to come up against a guy that he can't school. Maybe that's going to be Gunnar Harland, or maybe it's going to be Ridge Hall. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe it'll be Pete Dunne. Maybe it'll be Pete Dunne.
It could be Pete Dunne because, not tonight, obviously, but last we saw Ciampa and Dunne. They were in a bit of a feud. Does that carry on afterwards? I don't know.
Kyle O'Reilly wants a piece of the belt. It's possible he comes back, but he might be going to the main roster given what we saw tonight. That was weird.
That was weird.
Yeah. And then after that, we had Bron backstage shaking hands with like a bunch of 2.0 people, a bunch of his fellow rookies who I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah.
After that, so this was another bit of a litmus test here. We had Imperium versus Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen.
Yeah.
I did not know who Brooks Jensen was.
I have no idea who he is.
But obviously we've seen Josh Briggs. I think he was the last Evolved champion.
And the breakout tournament, yes.
Of course, we've seen him in the breakout. He's been on 205 a couple times, even though he's clearly not 205. But they're a new tag team, and we're like, oh my God, are they just going to start? Is this entire episode going to be clearing house? And it wasn't. Imperium comes out. They are chiseled. They are ripped.
Yes.
And Imperium got the win on these guys. Josh Briggs is good. Brooks Jensen, boy, that's a mouthful. I don't know much about him. He looked a little he didn't look to be the most graceful guy in the ring. But Imperium got the win here.
Eichner hits him with like a butterfly suplex off the top rope to get the win.
Yeah. After that, we had a Hit Row promo.
Yeah. Ashanti, since I type out my promo stuff weird, I can try to handle this as best as possible.
Okay.
So Ashanti hypes up B-Fab. She has her first match tonight. Swerve says that he knew B-Fab had a vibe about her, and tonight she's going to give NXT 2.0 a reason to be mad. Top Dollar says she's the baddest because she trained with the baddest, and they mention, I think, a former Olympian, a couple other people that she had trained with. And then B-Fab says, time talking is over, let's go do it. And that match was next. B-Fab versus Katrina Cortez. Again, another short match.
Also of note, the Raquel Gonzalez Frankie Monet match that was supposed to happen was pulled from the card tonight.
Did not happen. No.
So like you said, a short match. Yeah, it was a short match. Let's see here. Yeah, Katrina leapt off the second rope. B-Fab boots her and hits a rude awakening for the win. Hopefully she gives it a cool spin on that name.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Whatever she's going to call
that'd
it.
Be cool.
Afterwards, she dropped a promo, said people thought she couldn't do this. Now they all
of Hit Row can do this. Yeah.
Yeah. She calls out Elektra Lopez. She's they're interrupted by Legato. Lopez says B-Fab didn't learn her lesson the first time, but they can do it again, and this time she won't need a pipe to shut B-Fab's mouth. B-Fab wants to do it again. She wants to see how Lopez works without any tools. She wants the match now, but Santos, who is in an immaculate suit.
Oh, man, look great.
said tranquilo. No, we're not going to do that. Nope.
Then we get Odyssey Jones, Cameron Grimes, and Johnny Gargano backstage, and they're talking about who's going to win the title. Cameron Grimes picks Kyle O'Reilly. He's like, John, what do you think? Who do you think is going to win? He's like, I don't know, but I feel like something's missing tonight. And there's a knock at the door. It's Austin Theory.
It's Austin Theory.
And Johnny says, I thought you ran away. And Theory goes,
I did run away.
I did run away. But I wasn't going to miss the wedding, and I brought somebody. You can't have a wedding without a priest. Damian Priest walks in. And Johnny Gargano is telling Austin that Damian isn't a real priest. And Austin is a little confused by that. Priest says, I'm just here for the party. He gets some champagne. And then Austin looks for the no-look high five from John. John's like, nah, come in here for the hug.
I like when Austin put it up, Damian said, oh, look at that.
Yeah. Damian Priest looked like he was like the happiest guy being back. It was pretty great.
He really did. Yeah, he really did. No, that was great to see Austin Theory. Apparently, he's just been backstage at one of the main roster shows. Maybe, hopefully, he'll come up in the draft.
It was so awesome having him back, especially like the wedding segment. He was so much fun in that.
I can't think of a better guy to bring to 2.0, though.
I know.
Honestly, if they brought him back.
Maybe they'll have him beat Ciampa.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be
Gargano's protege, Gargano's son, basically beating Ciampa.
That's a good story.
Perfect.
That's a good story. Yeah. So after that segment, Carmelo Hayes walks out with Trick Williams. We go to commercial. We come back. Hayes has an interview. He talks about winning the breakout tournament 3 weeks ago. Says he's riding this wave of momentum. He's got the juice.
He's got the juice, man.
But now he's got a target on his back, but an NXT 2.0, almost said UK. You're not going to catch him off guard again. He realized it was a numbers game, so he called up Trick, his best friend, or a friend, and asked, hey, come join me. Hayes says, wherever I go now, Trick's coming with me. So Trick talked about why he's there. Said he's got the gift of gab and the gift of the jab. Said he's proud of Carmelo. He's the golden child of NXT, but he's got a bone to pick with them. He's always walked the walk and talked the talk. When Carmelo shoots, he doesn't miss. But who is this humble Carmelo? He asked the interviewer, do we look humble to you?
Now, and he's wearing a shirt that's unbuttoned.
Yes.
And you see his abs. Typically people who are humble don't walk around like that, Larson.
Yeah. So Carmelo thinks about it for a moment and says, yeah, you're right. No more holding back. Now that I got this contract, it's like basically a guaranteed title around my waist. I'm the chosen one. When I shoot, I don't miss. And if I pass, then Trick's going to receive it. And so they leave. Duke Hudson walks out, and he starts talking some trash and then walks, kind of like bumps past him. And Trick says, no, this stops now. So he follows Duke to the ring, hits Duke with like a spinning kick, but he does like 3 rotations on the kick.
Dude, he does like 3 discus spins and then hits him with a boot. It was great.
Yeah, and then starts taking the boots to him, kicking him. And then Carmelo runs into the ring, slides in, joins in, and then hits Duke with a springboard clothesline.
Hell of a statement right there from Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. I really like this. I thought that immediately. I have no idea if these guys actually know each other all that well, but they have excellent chemistry to start. And Trick Williams, all I saw was that the spinning boot stuff, but he does have the gift of gab, and I love that. He's a character.
He's a character,
and I like he's an attraction. After that, Jacy, Jayne, and Gigi Dolin are seen talking to Mandy, but we don't see Mandy yet. They're saying, you look amazing. This is the real Mandy. New NXT, new Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose 2.0.
Yes.
Camera pans out, and Mandy's wearing like a flannel hoodie, so we don't see.
From behind, yeah.
So we don't see what she looks like.
Next, this is probably the most main roster booking sequence here. So we get a tag match between Kacy Catanzaro and Kayden Carter against Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne. During the match, backstage, we see that Pete Dunne and Rich Holland beat down Kyle O'Reilly, and then we didn't know at the time it was Von Wagner makes the save.
Yes.
But we found out later that was enough to keep Kyle O'Reilly out of the title match anyways. So during this tag match, Kacy Catanzaro goes up top. The new Mandy Rose runs down, pushes her off the top, so we get a DQ finish. She lowers the hood, takes off a knit cap, and she's got brown hair now.
Yeah, I was kind of underwhelmed by that.
It was very underwhelmed.
You got all this great color on NXT now, and Gigi's got that like super bright orange hair, and then she's just a brunette now.
Yeah. So Sarray runs out. She starts fighting with Dolin and Jayne, and then Mandy flees out of the ring. In a typical main roster fashion, we go to commercial, we come back, and what do we get?
We get a 6-man tag match.
And it was Kacy, Kayden, and Sarray taking on Mandy, Gigi, and Jacy, Jayne. In the end, Mandy gets the win, pinning Kayden Carter after hitting. She's got a great running knee. Mandy Rose does.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah, she's had that for a long time.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really good. She gets the win on Kayden. After that, we get a quick shot of Indy prepping for her wedding. Later on, Candace tells Cora Jade she has a hat on. It's like, take off that hat. You can't wear that to the wedding.
Yeah, man. Well, it's not proper. After that, William Regal, in an interview, announces that Kyle O'Reilly is out of this match. And this young man is the man who saved him, Von Wagner.
Isn't that convenient for Von Wagner, huh? You save
Right?
Kyle O'Reilly, gets a spot.
I mean, you got to think that the Bron Breaker would probably be like, hey, wait a second. I beat literally one of the guys in this match. I want in there. I'm 2.0.
I know.
I'm sorry, son. Can't do it. Your uncle is a psychopath. He's terrible at math. They both once pooped in my bag before.
We get Ridge Holland versus Drake Maverick. You know how this goes. Ridge Holland wins with his finisher. It's probably a 2-minute match.
Yeah, but Drake Maverick is, but he's pulling double duty these days.
He is. We get a Tommaso Ciampa interview. He's talking about how NXT 2.0 is all about chaos. A bunch of young hot shots shooting their shot. He says tonight's not about them. It's about the NXT title. When you think of the title, you think Goldie. When you think Goldie, you think Ciampa. It's been 908 days, and tonight I get my redemption. He tosses his chair aside and walks out. All right, Steve, tell us about this Tony D'Angelo vignette.
Man, this poor dude. Now, the thing that so basically, he is a character you might have seen, like something similar to like The Sopranos, right? An Italian American, I believe. Yeah, walking down the street, he's got the gold chain, the Rocky hat, leather jacket, I believe. The thing that I liked about it is that he's talking about, my parents have all sorts of different, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to do an accent. He talks about his parents and what they do, and they seem to have their hands in a lot of different businesses.
Different interests, as he put it.
Right. Hey, I'm walking here. And so, which, I don't know, that was a Ratso Rizzo thing.
Yeah.
I'm walking here.
Yeah.
You've seen that movie, right?
Yeah, I've seen Midnight Cowboy, yeah.
Solid flick.
It is good. Yes.
John Voight's crazy. But the thing that I liked about it is that he did talk about his actual credentials. Talked about wrestling at whatever university he wrestled at.
Yeah.
And that now he's like, the real money's. Go ahead.
The real money is in NXT. And I'm like, dude, you're probably wrestling for $25,000 a year. You're on a developmental deal. You're not making a ton of money. Come on.
Hey, but he sees the upside. Hey, the Brock Lesnar, he was in NXT.
I just thought the delivery on this was not great. I didn't think I was not into it.
I don't know. I mean, dude, I don't want to throw the word stereotype out there, but that applies here, doesn't it? It does.
Yes.
It does.
It does.
I mean, I'm going to be laughing at this. Because it's so Soprano. Oh, hey. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It is what it is. It's something to laugh about every week. It's NXT's new Karrion Kross. But maybe he'll be a good wrestler. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he's got amateur credentials, so who knows?
Look, man, I don't want to offend anybody, but I feel like I'm not offending anybody because this is the thing that I think theoretically is offensive. Because it's just a stereotype.
Yeah, it is. So after that, we got the Creed brothers against Dan Jarmon and Trevor Skelly.
As the enforcer put it, the Battle of the Jabrones.
Man, so Creed brothers, understandably, predictably, had destroyed this team of jobbers. One of them just about dropped one of the guys on his head. I believe it was Julius Creed.
Yeah, man. What was that? Yeah, I don't know, man. Look, the thing is, it's going to get real old if these guys are going to put on the same exact match every week.
Yes.
We need to see progress, and we need to see it quick. And the thing about NXT 2.0 is that if they're having matches, the great thing about AOP, Authors of Pain, they were in there with DIY. They were in there with the Mighty Don't Kneel. They're in there with, any number of other stellar American Alpha. Yeah.
American Alpha.
They were in there with any number of tag teams and wrestlers that really knew their shit.
Yes.
They learned quickly.
Yeah.
And if they're in there with the grizzled young veterans, they'll learn. If they're in there with MSK, they'll learn.
Well, the thing is, I kind of feel like it's going to be a while before the Creed brothers are in the ring with those teams.
You think it's going to be probably a couple months of jobber matches, right?
Oh, at least, because I feel like they think highly of the Creed brothers because they have some, they obviously have the amateur wrestling credentials. That's like their whole thing in the ring. And their whole thing in the ring is like Authors of Pain, where it's like, okay, you guys are going to work really snug, really stiff, and destroy people. And with that comes some spots that might look like someone could potentially get hurt, especially when they're having their first few matches. And that spot where that guy just got dropped on his head was such a spot. So anyways, Julius ends up getting the win for the Creed brothers like he did last week, sliding clothesline. So Bivens has a promo. He says, hey, opponents walk in the ring, but they're getting carried out. Diamond Mine is the most dominant group in sports entertainment. He introduces a new member, Ivy Nile. Says no one is more determined than her. She hasn't had a carb since 2005. And he says when everyone else was eating breakfast, she was running 10 miles. She was a star of Titan Games. I believe that was on NBC. And she exemplifies what Diamond Mine is all about. Kushida comes out, tells everybody they're talking too much, tells Roddy he's ready. Bivens says next week we'll have that match.
Then we had our main event match, which was for the NXT Championship. Pete Dunne versus LA Knight versus Von Wagner versus Tommaso Ciampa. And whenever it was the three guys who were vets, the match was pretty darn good. Whenever it was Ciampa and Dunne, it was really good.
I mean, Von Wagner held his own.
He
The
did
moments
moves.
the moments he had in the ring where he had to hold his own, he did. It wasn't like it wasn't like Karrion Kross in that fatal 4-way match that made event at a takeover, where every time he was in the match, everything about the match slowed down.
Boy,
that didn't happen when Von Wagner was in there. And I kind of wonder if that's why they had him in that spot. In the end, the finish saw Von Wagner going for a powerbomb on Ciampa. Ciampa escapes. So Ciampa and Dunne team up to take him out with some forearms. They start throwing hands. Ciampa hits a running knee. Dunne responds with German suplex. He goes up top. Knight hits him with a superplex. Von hits butterfly suplex. I forgot on who. Ciampa breaks up that pin. And then Ciampa hits LA Knight with a fairy tale ending to get the W. And he's champion yet again.
Yep. After that, we had a recap package for the In-Dex stuff. And then we had... Yeah, it was really good. And then we had the In-Dex Wedding. Members of the locker room came to ringside to attend. We had, before we went to commercial, before the actual wedding started, some of them came out. Of course, Zoe Stark and Io Shirai still kind of, not on the same page. The Grizzled Young Veterans came out. They were openly speculating about if the wedding was actually going to work. They came down back from commercial. The wedding goes down. So, yeah, like you said, the groomsmen all dressed like Loomis, which was awesome. They had the black shirt, the black leather gloves, the gray jeans.
The tight jeans, yeah.
Yeah. Johnny gives Indy away. He asks Austin, because they're all like, who has the rings? Who has the rings? And he's like, Austin, do you have the ring? We're in a ring, silly. And he's like, no, the wedding rings. And then turns out Ikemen Jiro, wearing his ring attire, which is, his blazer with the knee pads and the trunks. He has the rings, so they get those out, and Johnny's like, "Okay, that's good. We got that."
And
no
Austin
disaster
says, "That's my guy."
Yeah, hey, that's my guy. He's got God. It was so good to see him. He's been missed sorely.
Yeah.
I mean, it is crazy. Like he could totally be. Maybe they're just like, "Hey, you've been through NXT. We're not going to have you anchor a product that's for a bunch of G'd up M heads." So the officiant asks anyone if they think that these two should not be married. speak now, forever hold your peace. Like everybody except for like the main players raises their hand, and Dexter looks at them all. He opens his coat and there's an axe in it, and he sort of flashes at everybody, and they all very slowly
lowers their hand. That was great.
Lowers their hand. So Indy says her vows first. It's very nice. Tells a story about Loomis sneaking into her bed one night when Johnny and Candice were sleeping. They all freak out about that. Loomis is like, no, it didn't happen. She says she can't wait to spend the rest of their lives together. Loomis is up next, and he gives Indy a thumbs up. That's his vows.
That's it.
The officiant starts to give Loomis some shit. Says, "What? Are you serious? You're not going to say anything?" She just poured out all these feelings, and Loomis puts him in a silence submission, chokes him out. He goes to the ground. Johnny's like, "Oh, we need another officiant. We need another officiant." And he looks over and he's like, Regal, you do it. And Regal looks horrified while the zombie ref is sitting behind him going,
that was great. That was great.
Which was hilarious. He says no. Beth Phoenix steps in
that was awesome.
to take over. She says, I kind of figured something like this would happen. So I went online last night and I got my license to be an officiant. He says, let's see here. John hands Indy and Loomis the rings. Indy says, I do. Puts the ring on Loomis. And then Beth says, what about you, Dexter? And he just sort of stares and she says, okay, we can take that as a yes. And Loomis puts his hand over the microphone. And then he leans over and he says, I do. And everybody freaks out because of the first words that he said in NXT. Mm-hmm. Beth pronounces them husband and wife. They kiss, and it's absolutely fantastic. It was amazing.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. We go backstage. Ciampa's watching the wedding on a monitor back there. Bron Breakker steps up. He says, hey, congratulations on winning the title. Ciampa's like, hey, congrats on your win. And he kind of catches Bron staring at the title, and so they have that awkward stare down where the camera just lingers there for maybe like twice as long as it really should, because it doesn't make sense. But people just be staring at each other.
Yeah.
And that was
this was totally a moment for Joe and Bron, though. Like, you could just see that happen.
Yeah.
So anyways, I am very interested to see what the questions are like for today's NXT. I have got a thread up here on the Patreon if you want to read some of the ones from Twitch chats.
Sure.
First up, David Matushik. Do you think NXT's future is brighter than their new colors or dimmer like their previous look? I'll be honest with you. It's too soon to tell. I don't really know who the audience is. That's sort of the thing, is that they were actually on a decent roll. I mean, getting 700,000 to 800,000 on USA is on a Tuesday night. It's not that terrible.
It's not that bad.
When considering AEW is their main sort of alternate, like promotion that's kind of doing what they're trying to do. I don't know who this is for.
Yeah, I don't know either.
If they can tell good stories, then it'll work. But I get the feeling it's probably going to end up more like WWE's ECW, which eventually, oddly enough, became NXT.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, look, this week is probably going to do well this week.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of curiosity about what this new NXT was. Next week, I don't know.
If you don't do main roster as well as main roster, if you're just a smaller main roster, and you don't bring something to the table that nobody else is doing, that's the thing. If you're not doing anything, if you're not doing something that nobody else is doing, and I don't know what, yet nobody else has a bunch of like 5-month in, fresh talents that are being shoved out on cable TV.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that, but I'm not sure that's a draw, Larson.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. These, as I mentioned at the head of the show, every week you knew what NXT was going to deliver for you. You knew what it was. You knew you were getting really good wrestling in the ring, a couple interesting characters, on occasion, really, really, really good stories. But usually decent stories, And now I don't know what to expect. I don't know. I have no idea what to expect week in and week out from NXT. Just based on the reception we've seen here anecdotally in our chat. Some people like it. Some people don't. Is this new NXT going to turn off people who have watched NXT for years? I don't know.
I mean, what are they going to be left with? If the older demographic, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
if the older demographic that was watching it, if they leave en masse because they're like, I didn't sign up for this,
and they can't draw new viewers, then yeah, what's there? What's left? I don't know. Zonda, you think Ciampa was going to be the winner before Joe's injury? If not, what was the story? I kind of feel like it would have been either Pete Dunne or a 2.0 guy.
You think it might have been Bron Breakker?
Maybe.
They might have. If Bron Breakker won that tonight, and backstage, if Joe didn't attend the wedding, but he was watching back there with the title, you could have that same setup where Bron Breakker comes up and they just sort of know, okay, you're the next guy, huh? The Yellow Flash asks, who should head to main now that NXT is fully refreshed? Ciampa once he loses the title. Kyle O'Reilly.
Probably Gargano.
I would love to see that. I would. I'll be honest, man. You put Pete Dunne on Raw. You do. Or SmackDown. After the draft, SmackDown.
Yeah, after the draft, put him on SmackDown, and he and Nakamura can have a feud for the Intercontinental title.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Ultimate Coder, might be too early, but if NXT War Games takes place later this year, which 4 members of NXT 2.0 and NXT 1.0 do you put in that match?
Oh, dude. Yeah, so I think we can get this out of the way. That ain't going to happen, but for the sake of the question, have
Ciampa, have Gargano, have them team up.
That's good.
So Theory take the title off Ciampa. He's on Team 2.0.
Okay.
So we get Austin versus Gargano.
Ooh. Oh, I don't like that.
And you have Cameron Grimes on 1.0.
I think here's mine. You do straight up 2.0 versus 1.0 with the only ambiguity being Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes joins 1.0. So you get Ciampa, Gargano, Dunne, and Carmelo Hayes. And everybody's sort of worried about Dunne, right? But Carmelo Hayes turns because he's true 2.0. On the other side of it, you got Bron Breakker. That name's going to take some getting used to. Wagner.
Yeah.
And then the Creeds.
Okay.
That's an ugly War Games match.
Yeah.
That's an ugly War Games match.
Dang MQ. Brooks Jensen is Bull Buchanan's son. He was part of the most recent Performance Center class with Gable Stevenson's brother and Jimmy and Jay's brother. So he's a recent signee, and he's already out on TV.
Yeesh.
They're wasting no time.
No kidding. I guess, I mean, you could do it. Look, if they did a War Games, it's easy. It's Legado del Fantasma versus Hit Row. Let's see here. We already answered that. We kind of answered that. Eddie Brock's Venom. Do you think Vince knows he's got Parker Boudreaux in developmental?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I think he visited the place, and I'm pretty sure he probably knows that he's there.
I'm guessing Vince is probably much more aware of the talent, more recent talent being brought in, because they aligned with the vision, apparently, he set out for NXT.
Yeah.
And I would think he's probably somewhat more invested because of that.
I think you're probably right. Alex Foster says, how fast will Tony D'Angelo become Steve's favorite wrestler? I mean, I think he might already be there. Just because I love to laugh. Hey, I'm walking here. Yeah. Anyways. That's going to do it for us. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll answer some questions and raid somebody. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Oh, quick side note also. Tomorrow, so we did not do a Friendo Club TV today. We did not do Power Rank because we want to study for Quizlemania. We're going to do that tomorrow prior to Quizlemania. Probably around noon or so. We'll get a good 40 minutes in or so of studying, and then we'll hop over to Quizlemania. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.